Hello, fibromyalgia friends. This is take two. So, this is always remember to have some water handy, which I didn't. As I said, I am tired. I'm having a lot of problems. I think with Facebook too. There's an issue here with Facebook. So, I hope you can hear me. We are supposed to be streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and X, but I don't know. I keep having problems with Facebook. So, if you're out there on Facebook, let us know because I guess we're having an issue and it's saying that. So we'll keep trying to get it resolved and let's see if it's up there. If you are on Facebook, please let us know because I know there's some disconnection problems. So happy holidays to all of you out there. I know we have new people turning in. So I just wanted to say hello, introduce myself, introduce the organization. I hope it got fixed on Facebook. So if you're tuning in live, let me know where you're tuning in from. I know I normally don't stream on X. So I decided to do that as well, just to say hello to everybody out there because we just want to let people know that we are an official nonprofit organization. We're a national nonprofit organization. We recently changed our name, which gets a little bit confusing. So we are now the Fibromyalgia National Health Organization. We were formerly the Support Fibromyalgia Network. And we have a lot to do in transitioning over the new website, our branding. So you're going to see a lot of changes and there might be some inconsistencies as we fully transition over. But 2026 is going to be a big year as we move forward. So I'm just going to start out too with introducing myself, like who am I? So I am Melissa Tolar. I'm the executive director of the Fibromyalgia National Health Organization. I am also a fibromyalgia patient. So at 14 years old, I sustained a head injury and a sports injury while playing sports, multiple concussions. And as I'm learning in the Karazian Institute right now, that was definitely not good. And you can have symptoms later after obtaining a concussion. Of course, this is in the 90s. So they didn't treat concussions back then as they do now. And I was a female athlete as well. So nobody treated it as they do and took it seriously. And I continued to play sports, but I continued to have symptoms. So that's when my chronic journey actually started. So this has been over 30 years. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I have other chronic illness conditions and a whole slew of symptoms. So this was the journey in building also in the nonprofit because I faced a lot of adversity. I went through a lot of darkness and I don't want people to go through that same journey. I am desperate to see changes fast. And I know I don't want to discount any work that's already been done, but I just feel that we need a lot more done. And it's frustrating. So, this is the goal overarching for this nonprofit organization and to really think differently about how we approach fibromyalgia, to handle it, to get it a massive medical education, to get patient services out there. So, this is huge. And so, in my journey, as I declined, I was severely like bedbound for a good part of my 20s as well. So, and then I was able to sort of reclaim my health as I deteriorated completely in my mid 30s. And I was able to kind of reclaim my health. I got into health coaching. So I became a national board certified functional medicine health coach. I found people like Dr. Terry Walls, Dr. Dale Bredesen. I read their books. I tested on myself. So I got into more of the biohacking side of it where I ran my own blood tests on myself. And this is how I was able to kind of reclaim my health system and go to now I'm a nursing student. And I don't claim that I'm cured by any means as I'm feeling my body deteriorate with all the stress in nursing school right now. But I do use tools that I look forward to sharing with all of you, and especially in health coaching groups. I appreciated people that showed up this past 6 months for all the health coaching groups. I like to share things and I like to share things from the Walls Protocol, which is exciting for me to do. So I appreciate those of you that joined the group health coaching this year. We're going to continue that as I'll go through a short PDF to kind of talk about our services. Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm seeing people tune in. It's so good to see you. I wasn't sure if I was fully connected and I had technical difficulty as I'm tired and I'm breathing wrong and choking online, which isn't fun. So hello from Pennsylvania. Is it snowing? Is it cold? I haven't even paid attention. I just finished finals for nursing, and that was a lot. So I kind of get into that. So I was talking about being a health coach, very heavily trained in functional medicine. I'm currently a health consultant for the Karazin Institute. I finished that training and I'm trying to do my advanced training from the Karazin Institute. But I've done a lot of certifications in functional medicine, functional nutrition, neuroscience, and now I am currently in an accelerated master's level for nursing program. So it's 5 semesters long. I just finished the 4th semester, inched it out, right? We talk about it in nursing school. All you got to do is pass, right? So I somehow did it, staying in critical care clinicals, which were really scary because my first day in clinicals, I ended up in the ED. So, that was my nervous system is shot for sure. I'm gonna have to, after my 5th semester, really figure out how to balance my nervous system. But being in the ED, I had to be fast. My nurse didn't even explain anything. He just handed me a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, "Well, is this to, like, take out the IV?" I'm like, "Oh my." I feel behind, than some of the other students because I don't have a healthcare background or I wasn't a CNA or an LPN before. So I'm just a fibromyalgia patient that went to nursing school, and this has been an accelerated program. So critical care was this semester. So from the ED, I had a second shift the following day for 12 hours. And I went to the ICU, which was even tougher to learn because they're like really quick. They know what they're doing. They're all in sync with each other. And I'm so out of sync. I'm like, I have no idea what to do. And then I need all the rules. So somehow I managed all the clinical hours that we had, back to back clinical hours too in the ICU. I did enjoy my time in the PCU, which was good. They were really nice to me. So for some reason I gravitated towards that, which is good because next semester I'm going to land in the cardiac PCU at a hospital. Unfortunately, I got night shifts. So if anyone out there is a nurse or you know a nurse that is doing night shifts, what do I need to do to survive night shifts? Because that's going to be a complete schedule overhaul. I know I worked on my sleep to try to get myself to go to bed on a schedule. So now that's going to be completely out the window next semester. I'm excited to be in a cardiac PCU, I think, but we'll see how it goes and I'll keep everyone updated. But yes, I've kind of been, there's a lot to do with the nonprofit, which is why I just wanted to say hello, let everybody know what's going on. There's real people behind this nonprofit. I know when we post research, it somehow gets like mixed reactions. So I wanted to address like there are real people behind here. I did make a mistake when I posted, and unfortunately it made someone upset. And I'm like, no, 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 there's a real person. I had such brain fog as I'm like typing. So I think I combined sentences and I made a mistake. But it was an honest mistake with posting that. But there are real people behind this. We are an official nonprofit organization. There was a name change. There is a name change. So we're moving everything from the old websites to supportfibro.org, and it's going to be fibromyalgianational.org. It was important we changed the name because there was a lot of confusion. And no, we were doing national campaigns, which I will go through with all of you too. But I just appreciate all of you. Thank you for supporting the organization so far. We do need your help with sharing. So please share our social media pages with other fibromyalgia patients, with other fibromyalgia friends. So that way people know that we exist. We're going to be really pushing hard in 2026. As I said, I'm really stuck. I'm impatient because I'm in this nursing program to get my MSN because it was important that I get that MSN, that master's level, so I can move on further potentially, but get the RN. Medical education is super important, and that's going to be a big piece of this. So I'm going to just really quickly say hello to everyone. I'm so glad that the Facebook feed is working. Hi, Jamie. Welcome from Louisiana. I really want to dive back into the touring there. So we missed out on Louisiana, Mississippi, but I want to know a lot of the resources that are happening over there and how we can help because we worked with some support groups and they were missing a lot of fibromyalgia education. So we really want to dive into different parts of the country and get back to that. I can't wait to get back on the road. Hi, Tish. Hugs from Texas. Ooh, I'm excited to get back to Texas too. And I'm excited to be RN licensed. So once I graduate, I'm going to definitely I'm in Arizona right now. So my license will be in Arizona. And then I can apply to the Nurse Compact Act and get whatever states. I'll have to reapply to California, which is interesting. Hi, Kathleen. Welcome, welcome. Let me know how you guys are surviving the weather. It got cold in Arizona, and I know, don't laugh at me. I'm a wuss. I look like the Snoopy all bundled in the jacket. My teacher makes fun of me too. Um, Thank you so much for reposting. I appreciate all of you as we're ramping up with the holidays. I love this background that StreamYard has shared with us. But let me just really quickly kind of go through an update for what the sort of nonprofit is all about too. And this is from an old deck. So you're going to see some support Fibro branding. So initially we were filed in 2017. So we got established in 2017. It was a group of us. And the goal was to fill in the gaps for fibromyalgia. We were all fibromyalgia patients. We were all coming from diverse backgrounds. So we had veterans on the group. We had men with fibromyalgia on the group, different age groups as well. And we noticed there's so many gaps to fill. How are we going to address this? So we did different things when we're starting out again as an organization, trying to learn what can we do to fill in the gaps. So the big thing that we've always established and we will always continue to establish is patient services, big education workshops. I'm going to talk about the conference that's coming up too. It's going to be our mini part 1 conference that I promise we're just going to continue to launch. I love education, giving people as much education as possible, but I know sometimes it's difficult to translate it to real life. So that's the benefit of the health coaching and integrating more board certified health coaches into this. We've made a lot of friends over the years working in group health coaching. I spent a lot of time doing group health coaching where health coaching was billable for insurance when you had a provider doing the medical like management of it. That's why I like jumped in also to nursing, because that's a future goal and a future establishment that I've seen, and getting more advanced training in group medical visits so it can be billable to insurance and having that covered so you don't necessarily have to pay out of pocket. So that's a huge thing. Resource distribution. We were always on the road, or at least I was. So this is where the postcard was from. We were at a conference, we had a table, but I always say, I'll see you on the road. I love meeting people in person around the country and talking to you. I love meeting support group leaders, learning what resources do you need? What have you noticed is going on? So all the time, please share. I know it's challenging to find medical providers that understand fibromyalgia. That has been a huge goal from the very beginning. I hit a wall though, because I thought maybe with health coaching, I would be taken seriously with healthcare providers. I kind of got dismissed still with as a patient. So as a nurse, when I tell people now that I'm in nursing school, it is a different vibe. So I'm hoping to change that, because with an RN license too, providing that education to nurses as I move forward, I've joined some organizations in order to do that. I'm going to get some more training and education, but I'm also going to bring on some healthcare providers when we talk more about ECHO, which is super important. So all of this is valuable. Patient services, what do you need in order to improve your quality of life? That's a big part of what we're doing. And again, I've mentioned group coaching. So we had some success with the pilot program. It was geared for all encompassing. It wasn't specific this time with a grant for fibromyalgia, but we have done some fibromyalgia group coaching work. This was autoimmune based, and it was getting my feet wet for actually putting an online course together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that online course that we built. I'm going to transfer it over for everybody to know about in the fibromyalgia community. So you can take it. It's more like anti-inflammatory, but so many of us deal with overlapping conditions, from arthritis to maybe you do have an autoimmune condition being diagnosed, or maybe that you're in the midst of getting a diagnosis. I'm in between. Nobody can figure out what's going on besides fibromyalgia. That's been my diagnosis for a while, but I have all kinds of symptoms. So these classes just want to do free, but live group coaching over Zoom is usually what happens. And then I've brought in some other national board certified coaches that are, they have experience or their strengths in other areas that I don't. Like, I'm not necessarily fantastic at mindfulness, So I tend to bring in coaches that are really good at mindfulness, meditation, more of the stress management. As you can see from my energy, I'm like, stress is my middle name. But when it comes to more didactic or understanding your stomach and bowel movements, I got that dialed in. So it's really bringing in a diverse set of coaches that you can meet. They can help coach. And that's really a big portion of what we want to build for collaborative care, because I would love to transfer this over where this becomes more of a situation where maybe even we have a base in Arizona that's actually like a physical location that people can come and get some community support, health support, as well as I become a practitioner too. But we still have the online component to support people. And that's a huge part of it. Advocacy. So when we went to Washington, D.C. in 2019, it was a huge launch for us. We had never done this before. So thank you to everyone that participated in that September 2019 event. I appreciate you so much because it was so overwhelming to have all the advocates come with us to Washington, D.C., organize something and organize our meetings with the representatives. We had the first time ever. We've gotten better over the years, and we've learned. We did virtual when all the pandemic was happening as well, which was a great success. So I think moving forward, and we're going to talk to people like Crystal, who are amazing advocates, and other people that have joined us before. What would be the best? Like, we're thinking hybrid. So we want to get people trained that are interested in doing it who may not be able to go to Washington, D.C. with us. We'll have a select group of people go to Washington, D.C. with us that are really interested in diving into the advocacy part. Contributing to proclamations every year is a big part of it, but then also having in district meetings, so local meetings that you can obtain. We'll probably figure this out as we move forward even more. But we did submit appropriations requests. We did talk to our representatives frequently in Washington, D.C. We submitted appropriations requests. We learned that process. We want to learn more. If anyone has experience in legislation and all of this, please let us know. We could definitely use your help. And we're going to do this. We're going to continue. We do believe change is absolutely possible. So that's going to be a component of our organization, and continue with that as well. And that was a big launching for us in a different direction, because that was not on the cards to do any sort of advocacy. But when I sent a message to Court Johnson, and he said, well, if you really want to do research, which was a big part of us, we really wanted to support researchers. We really were, we call ourselves the Fibro nerds here, which I should have included a graphic, but you'll learn more about it. We do get nerdy with the science. So if we wanted to do research, he said, you're going to have to do advocacy. So this is where it began. Medical education. So this was the number one goal for me personally when we started the nonprofit. And when I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, I completed training for this years ago, like in 2000, I think it was 2019 as well. That was a big year. I had seen the EDS Society. They have an amazing echo. So if you haven't had a chance, go check out what they're doing with their echo for EDS. It's brilliant. So I was like, we need to have this for fibromyalgia. I went to Albuquerque, completed the in-person training, and I was blown away. This is what we need. We need the medical education. We need healthcare providers educated. And I love what the EDS Society has done to branch out for this. And I've been sitting in other echoes. So I've been learning from other echoes. I've been talking to people that have launched echoes, and we want to do a fibromyalgia specific echo where we bring in providers. So I've put together the whole plan for the pilot. So it's bringing in the educators, which is a huge piece, because we have to use like evidence-based practices with this. But what it is case-based learning. So other providers can tune in online. So this is all virtual through the Echo system. And these providers can be anywhere in the world, actually, because Echo is expanded in larger places, and they learn from these experts. So there's a part of didactic, but then the medical providers can bring in their cases, and all the PHI is taken out, and they can ask questions of the experts and get better at treating patients in their own area, which is great for rural places. And this way you're not driving across the country like I did. I like literally flew across the country to find an expert that could potentially help me. I learned a lot, but I didn't get the help that I need. So that's a lot for people to do. Even driving, I mean, we don't feel well. So driving even like 2 hours or even an hour getting ready, and like you might have to be on a wait list to see a specialist. And honestly, we don't have the fellowship tracks that some of the other organizations do for fibromyalgia. So technically, anyone can call themselves a fibromyalgia specialist with belief in what they feel works best. So, what we're trying to do is aggregate those ideas together, be open minded, and see how we can best translate that and get all of that information to improve patient care. This is a lot because there's a lot of ideas involved and there's multiple modalities, there's multiple thoughts, but we really feel that we can organize this. So, this is a big piece of the puzzle where my RN want to fit in so I can help and do the education piece also for nurses later on in the future and provide the CEUs as needed. But we need professionals. So if you know people out there that want to learn about fibromyalgia, like you have a provider that's like, I don't know as much. Please tell them about this because they'll get CMEs. So this is part of the ECHO project. They can get CMEs, CEUs, and again, we want to branch it out to be more like the EDS eventually, specifically for fibromyalgia if you work with an expert in fibromyalgia. Now, this can be an MD, a DO, if there's an FNP, anybody out there, even the doctor of physical therapy, OTs, let us know because we need these experts to all come together and we're going to be building that expert group and then also training the other providers. So there's be a certification. There's going to be a whole thing where we can actually say that they've taken the certification. So shout out to EDS for like prompting this idea because it's really, really good. And we need to replicate this for fibromyalgia and it'll help because I think we can utilize some of their providers too. I've talked to them because I don't know if I have partial in that category as well. We have so many overlapping conditions. But this is Project Echo, and a lot of you have heard me talk about this over and over again. This is the big thing we're going to get launched, and I'm just all in. Even if I have to move to Albuquerque to get this, I will be there at that office constantly bugging them so we can get this launched. We need more healthcare providers trained, and a big goal also for the nursing side is to train the NPs, to train the PAs also, which is huge if you know of a PA, because in case the MDs in the office are overwhelmed, we really want to have a solid support education for the PAs and NPs in the office that can work with you long term to help manage your fibromyalgia care. And this, we want to go eventually global. So have the pilot program, get everything down, continue. We can submit research as part of this as well and really help you like where you're at. So you're not having to drive across the country and figure this out. You're not on your own figuring this out. This is a huge piece of the puzzle that we're working on solving. Okay, the conference. It's been a short gap, and I apologize. It's been a rough road with nursing school, but we will be back with the conference. We're going to do a mini part 1 conference in January, which I've started to send out emails to all the speakers just to confirm. And then we normally do it in the fall, so this is a little different, but I couldn't wait. As I said, I just want to let people know you are not alone. And one of the things that I noticed is missing completely after we took a little break. So we had a couple of good years, which was amazing and incredible. And what I noticed is that people really felt like they weren't alone. And it was an international fibromyalgia conference. So we had physicians, patient advocates all on the stage, researchers all over the world. And that was huge. And I missed that because I don't see that happening because everybody needs to know that you are not alone. All of us are around the world. It's a huge, huge diagnosis. A lot of people are diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So I want to make sure to know that you are not alone. And this conference brought us all together. So we're going to reignite that in January and we're going to continue it. And then again, probably, like I said, this is part 1 as we go through that. And then collaborative care, we're launching part of that. So, as part of group coaching to get that instilled into fibromyalgia, more research, training of providers, building this group medical visits that's billable to insurance. So, we have that taken care of so you can get the healthcare you need and developing this collaborative care model. We started this at the rheumatology conference, so ACR, and we're going to continue this and launch all of this as we move forward. We've been heavily trained in collaborative care type models, working with existing groups that have taught us a lot. It was amazing to work with the Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine as the brain health coach with our learning from Dr. Ron and team. And there's other groups that are now launching different particulars of this collaborative care. So we're going to continue to train with those groups so that we can expand it for fibromyalgia specifically. And then I wanted to let people know too, we're looking also, if anyone out there, and we were trying to create a budget as well to pay someone to help us with the Inspire Network. So we have an online community through Inspire Health, which has been really cool as part of it. So we're looking at ways to expand that. It's different from social media because we're trying to really share different resources, support the community, and it crosses into other communities as well. So if you haven't seen that, please check that out. Join our community. It's free online, and the cool thing is it's anonymous, so it's not tied to a real name. So you don't have that. You can post and stuff like that and not have it tied to a personal name at all, which is kind of cool for us to join. So we really want to amp this up in 2026 and see what would be good for the community. If you're already involved with the community, let us know. We were really active when it started, and I know it's been a little bit of a lull, so we want to get back to that too. Research. So you've seen us share a lot from Dr. Younger and some of the things. One of the big things that were our moonshot goal, besides the Project Echo goal and medical education, is doing a multi-site neuroinflammation study, and of course, hoping that the NIH will fund this with those neuroinflammation labs. We also just shared with Dr. Younger's goal of actually finding treatment, so fundraising. So working with researchers to actually accomplish this with fibromyalgia. We were disappointed when we went with Washington, D.C. and like analyzed the investment in the NIH. Sure, the budget is low and we do need an increase. But what we noticed is some of the research in that NIH budget wasn't specifically dedicated to fibromyalgia. That is a huge issue and a huge talking point that we are addressing. We need that translational research. So we need pathophysiology research, confirmation on widespread neuroinflammation, larger cohort studies for these research projects, and then target stuff that's translational. So that is something that we are working on heavily too. I've also reached out to some of the researchers that have had successful projects through the NIH, and I want to know how we can get this translated. So, for example, one of the things is with the labs, with the TENS unit, with physical therapy. And I'm going to do a separate video just on the research on what success they've had. But we need to get it translated. If it works well in physical therapy, then let's get some physical therapists educated. What kind of devices do they need? What do patients need to do in order to receive this treatment and give it a try to see if it works? So that's a missing break. So if they've had success in their research, let's get it translated. And even the area of like green light therapy, which seems like it'd be okay. So what type of green light did you use to have success to decrease pain and fibromyalgia? How can we get this translated to patients? Is it a specific green light wavelength that they used? What kind of device did you use? Can this be translated to be purchased for all of us? Because I've seen some green light devices that are available for the migraine community. So let's complete the piece instead of us just sharing research. And I'm like, I know it's frustrating because everybody's like, well, it's not translated to my doctor. My doctor has no idea what this is. Or maybe this is a pilot because it's an initial group and it's a small cohort. So people are really disappointed to see its small numbers. So let's find out the research that's like, wow, this is really what we need. Let's talk to those researchers. Let's get them backed because there's a whole wide conversation going on too about the immune system with fibromyalgia. And I know a lot of researchers are doing that. So we need to bring researchers together. We need to figure out how to close that gap to translate it to your doctor's office so you can receive those successful treatments. So that is a huge goal as well. Again, we have a lot of goals. We have a lot of moonshot goals. We're going to get it done. We're just piecing everything together. We did do some surveys, so we're going to actually share something like that. We did with Crystal of Fibromyalgia, Pain Chronicles, and Veteran Voices for Fibromyalgia. We did a family study, so we want to release that. We do share research studies from other researchers, but what we do want is for you to come back and share what you learned from your research. That has also been a missing component. Many of you have filled out surveys and you don't even know what the results are. We need to close that gap. And then we also launched our own surveys so that we can publicly share with you the information that we learned. It's very patient-centered, gathering the information so we can report back to you and know and collect information that's helpful for you. Okay, well, that is that for that. So again, this was an old branding kit. I just wanted to go through some of those things with you and keep this as short as possible as I ramble on. But yes, I finished fourth semester nursing school. I am tired. We're going to get back to it. I'm going to work on the conference. So conference in January, we're going to have an advocacy component where you're going to learn about advocacy. And then we're going to have the education component the following week, more end of January. So I'll get the dates launched. So stay posted, but it's all virtual. It's free. I'm trying to figure out the platform though, if I should just do it straight through StreamYard or do it through Zoom's webinar. That I'm not clear upon. I'm like, I can't make a decision because I want it to be a good experience for all of you. It's been helpful to do these free on these channels. So maybe we'll continue that. The only problem is it gets a little buggy when people use PowerPoint presentations. So we had some problems in the past with our presenters because I'm going to have to figure that out. Because that's why I'm leaning maybe towards Zoom, but I love the comments. I love it live. It is problematic though, because some people drop out. You have to have good Wi-Fi or you cause problems, but we might even have some pre-recorded sessions because people can't join us live. But education is the key, getting you all the information, updated information, trying not to repeat the information as much as possible, but we're going to get that done. Website will be launched. I have a whole bunch of blogs all ready to go for the website. So we just need to get it launched. It's me and I taught myself how to build websites. So all of our funding can go into the actual programs itself. So that's an important piece of that. Good question. Let me just look at some of the comments. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up with the medication. I know I did a stream on this with Tanmaya. So looking from Tonics. So I know that they've been talking to a lot of providers. I forget the actual launch date, or maybe it is available at this point to ask your providers about. Definitely talk to your providers about. I know everyone's gone back and forth because of the dosing and the information of the medication. It will be good to see how it helps because helping with sleep is super important. So I think I'm interested in talking to Tonics more and seeing. I know they've been really, really active at their conference. So it's been good to see that. And I'm actually looking that up. It's been a while since I looked up Project Echo. I know it means something. I should know this. And what it stands for. It's taking a little bit of time. Oh, okay. So Kathleen, thank you for asking that question. So Project Echo, and I'm going to do a full video on this, and I will include what Echo stands for. I think I've done some past videos, but now that I'm really want to focus on it, it'll be good because I did a presentation in class sharing Echo to my class of students, my friends and colleagues in my nursing school and my teacher. So Project Echo. So Echo stands for Extension for Community Healthcare Outcomes. It is a telementoring model using hub and spoke virtual learning to connect specialists with local providers, sharing expertise via video to improve care for complex conditions in underserved areas, reducing disparities by moving knowledge, not patients. So I remember when I went to the conference, that was huge. So we don't want patients driving across the country looking for specialists or waiting on a wait list. And that was a big component for launching Echo in the first place because the story, and I'll share a video on the story for Project Echo so that you can learn more about it. So these are regular sessions, they're case-based presentations, and this is a collaborative problem-solving model empowering local clinicians to manage patients who would otherwise need specialist referrals, benefiting from areas of healthcare for education. So we don't really have that specialist referral. If you're lucky, your rheumatologist still works with you. But I know it's been stated multiple times on the American College of Rheumatology website that rheumatologists will now refer you back to your primary care physician, which is huge. Historically, we've always been more training rheumatologists. And so now that it's being deferred, and I've heard people for a long time, they are getting turned away. If you don't have a rheumatology diagnosis or something that they can really focus on in that realm, like arthritic or rheumatic, you might get turned away with just a fibromyalgia diagnosis. And people have been sending us those messages for a long time from large university hospitals, and their rheumatology, they won't take you. And that was disappointing, which is why we looked into a solution for that. And that's what I think I think Project Echo really solves that with training and doing it virtual. And the thing too that I like when you're thinking about this dynamic is it's not going to be just one provider. It's collaborative. So sometimes when you only have one provider that thinks one way, they may have done stuff with, but we don't really know their successes overall. Are they currently working with patients? That's a big question to ask. And then also, you might get stuck in bias. So they feel that fibromyalgia should be treated one way. So that's one bias, or they feel fibromyalgia's root cause is one thing. And so with this project, it's a collaborative effort to get a collection of ideas. And then we may find someone, in a different state that we've never heard about before. That's like, yeah, I've been working with a lot of fibromyalgia patients. I've had a lot of success doing this. And then they get that opportunity to present to everybody in the Echo. And we're like, wow, that's really interesting. And we have the data and they've collected. Yeah. So this is something that can be shared, and it's not one way because we know one way does not work. There isn't one treatment that's worked well for us. And we need to get away from that because we know even some of the FDA approved medications that have been on the table for a while aren't helping a lot of us or have tremendous side effects. And it's really something to talk about. So we can't just have one provider that's talking, which is generally what happens with education. So you have one expert that leads an education model. It's fine. They get CMEs from learning, but they're like, okay, so that's really just that way. And right now, we need to help all of us as patients. What can we do to improve our quality of life? What do we need? And then a big component of this too, because my bias is nutrition. So I do want to bring in a well-established, like registered dietitian with some evidence-based information to help train those providers. And that's going to be added to collaborative care. That's going to be a big piece of it. And then again, looking at physical therapy or people that understand fibromyalgia in a way where movement isn't going to be detrimental either. Because again, that needs to be fine-tuned for all of us, and then added some other things with sleep. Sleep medicine is going to be a huge component as well. So what that looks like. And there's different tools out there that help different people. We're going to bring that all together. But we want it to be a collaborative effort where people are talking to each other. So I think that's the big piece of it, because I notice when I listen to certain providers, they share their bias, and that's okay. We all have our bias in thinking. But we can't let it guide that whole education into one direction, because each of us are going to be different in our responses. And I talk about this too with my nutrition. I did something that people may not respond to. So when I did the Walls protocol, I did her nutrition dense ketogenic approach. I was amazed at how well it helped me. That doesn't necessarily work for everyone. So what does? But the big thing is gathering that information together. Obviously, information from patients' data will be excluded, so you won't know. You'll remain anonymous, but we're trying to collect that information properly and then publish the research, which was something I learned from one of the providers that runs an echo. She's like, make sure you add it to published research. And this is good for the providers involved as well. Publishing the research, gathering the data. So Echo is really good about that, collecting the survey information all over, because we may not have found other providers that are having some successes in their area treating fibromyalgia. So we need all of that right now. I know all of you want that too, because we get number one question. Do you know of a provider in this area that treats fibromyalgia? Do you know of a specialist? And that's a tough word because anyone can call them a specialist at that point. And are they really working with fibromyalgia patients? Have they had success? That's hard to understand. Some people may be successful with that, like with that provider, others may not. It's frustrating. So that's going to be something to try to address in the future as well with this. But it's something we want to get off the ground. So we need healthcare providers interest in fibromyalgia. We need to tackle it. If you know anyone out there that's interested in getting involved from either the expert piece, and again, this is MDs, DOs, NPs, PAs. We need the doctors of physical therapy. We need the PTs. We're going to need the OTs, nutritionists, so that we can really build a collective here and really get that education out there, get published research also, so it becomes more of practice, and change the standard of care. So I keep telling everybody at school, I have to watch what I say in my nursing class because they want me to focus on something else. But the goal here is to change the standard of care for fibromyalgia. And if you look at some of the other migraine organizations too, they fund like fellowships to go into fellowship training. We don't have that. So it's collectively anybody thinks like they're like, no, fibromyalgia is this. So this is what we believe would go this direction. So we're just trying to build a collective. Okay, I will stop rambling, but thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm not sure if I will do another live before the holidays because I need to get all this other stuff done. But I'll do my best. I'm going to be back and forth. And so everyone, please, please, definitely, we could do us a favor, share our social media accounts with other fibromyalgia friends because you're going to want to tune into that conference. You're going to want to be subscribed. You're going to want to see the information we share. You're going to want to tune in to our fibromyalgia friends who are international as well. So please share our social media pages with other people. You are not alone and we are active. We are working on the ground. We will be on the road eventually too. We will be at a lot of conferences talking to providers and patients. So thank you again. I am Melissa Totwar. I'm the executive director of the Fibromyalgia National Health Organization, our new name. So happy holidays, everyone. If I don't get a chance to do another live, but thank you and have a low pain weekend. Bye.